HarperCollins presents The Naked Light by Bridget Collins. Read by Bridget Collins.
For Nicole. Peace. I am as awful as my brother War. I am the sudden silence after clamour. I am the face that shows the seamy scar when blood and frenzy has lost its glamour. Men in my pause shall know the cost, at last, that is not to be paid in triumphs or tears. Men will begin to judge the thing that's past, as men will judge it in 100 years. Nations whose ravenous engines must be fed endlessly with the Father and the Son, my naked light upon your darkness dread, by which ye shall behold what ye have done, whereon, more like a vulture than a dove, ye set my seal in hatred, not in love. Let no man call me good. I am not blessed. My single virtue is the end of crimes. I only am the period of unrest, the ceasing of the horrors of the times. My good is but the negative of ill, such ill as bends the spirit with despair, such ill as makes the nation's soul stand still and freeze to stone beneath a Gorgon glare. Be blunt, and say that peace is but a state wherein the active soul is free to move, and nations only show as mean or great according to the spirit then they prove. Oh, which of ye, whose battle cry is hate, will first in peace dare shout the name of love? Eleanor Fargen. 1. Sketches for a Mask, pencil on paper, 1918. Kit had not expected it to be so beautiful. That was her first impression as she pushed open the portiere and set down her suitcase on the paving stones, digging her hand into her aching shoulder. She was taken aback by how beautiful it was. She drew a long breath, looking round. After the hot dust and bare stone of the street, the courtyard was as still and cool as a basin of water. The street she had left was not exactly ugly, and Paris could never be that, even after 3.5 years of war had left it scarred and grim. But this little garden, with its diminutive plane tree and well-swept paths, might have been a different world, orderly and serene, the shadows dappled green, the air scented with lavender. There was a cat basking on a windowsill, as plump and well-fed as any peacetime pet, and from an open window above she heard the bright strains of a gramophone playing Over There. There was a burst of male laughter, and 2 sets of footsteps hurried down an unseen staircase, growing louder as they descended. A moment later 2 young men in uniform emerged from the tall door that stood open to her left. They sauntered past her without an acknowledgement of her presence, jaunty and able-bodied, one of them offering a cigarette to the other as he pushed the gate open. As they went into the street, they were still laughing. She stood looking after them for a moment, wondering. But if one of them happened to glance back and saw her staring, no, it would not be a good start. She stooped for her suitcase. She had not brought very much, but the delayed boat train and the walk from the Gare du Nord had made her wish she'd sent a trunk ahead of her instead, and with a grimace carried it into the building and up the stairs. The first floor, Portia had said. Again, the door stood open, the music louder now, and she hesitated, not sure whether to knock. A handwritten paper label pinned to the doorframe said neatly in English, "Studio for Portrait Masks." Another hand had scrawled below that, "By appointment only, please." A third, so cramped it almost went over the bottom edge of the paper, had added, "Uniquement sur rendez-vous." There was no bell that Kit could see. She took a deep breath. Suddenly her heart was beating as hard as it had the first morning she walked into the antiques room at art school, when she had been almost too nervous to hold a pencil, and stepped over the threshold. "Bonjour," she said. "Hello?" The room was empty. Empty, that was, of people. There were long benches running perpendicular to the window, scattered here and there with tools. At the far end of one, a china vessel that looked like a chamber pot was connected with clips and rods to some kind of electrical contraption. Shelves ran across one wall, stacked with boxes and equipment. To her left, above the connecting door, hung the Union flag, the tricolour and the stars and stripes, all equally faded to pale blue and pink.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?